Hey everybody, it's Randy Ray at the Literate Texan, and I'm jumping on the bandwagon again. I feel like I'm a little late to the party today, but recently a number of us, I think starting with Michael K. Vaughn, had posted videos about the next 15 science fiction novels we were going to read. And David Wiley got in on that, and so did Steve Donahue, and so did I. And then for his next video, Michael Vaughn posted the next 18 fantasy novels or fantasy books that he was going to read, and Steve's already jumped in and made his list of 18. I have a stack of fantasy books that I'm reading next, and I know there's at least 18 of them here, but I'm not exactly sure, how you want to count them or whatever, but I thought I'd show them off here. I've got way more than this in my stack, but these are probably the priorities. So I hope Steve and Mike don't mind that I jump in and share some of the fantasy stuff on my upcoming agenda. I'm going to start with these two, and these are going to count as two separate books. Earlier this year when I first started my BookTube channel, I posted a review of a novel called Sandman Slim by Richard Kadrey, which is an urban fantasy series about a gladiator from hell who comes back to Earth so that he can take revenge on his coven who sent him to hell. And there's a whole series of these novels, and I believe, so I don't know which one of these is number 2 and which one of these is number 3. The main character is named James Stark, and he's the monster who kills monsters. So I believe Kill the Dead is the next one in the series. I think this is number 2. It's really hard-boiled and fun, and I love the first one, so I can't wait to dig into the rest of the series. I believe Kill the Dead is the second book, and then the next one is Aloha from Hell, which I'm also looking forward to. Lucifer shows up at the end, spoiler alert, Lucifer shows up at the end of the first Sandman Slim, and it looks to me like he's going to hire Stark to do some work for him here on Earth. So I have no idea what form that's going to take, but I'm real excited about these because I really liked them, which is weird too because generally speaking, I don't think of myself as the type of guy who likes urban fantasy. I never got on the, the Harry Dresden train like so many other people did. Maybe I'd like them if I gave them a chance. I don't know. I just haven't read them yet. So there's number 1 and number 2 for the next few fantasy books that I'm going to read. These aren't necessarily in any particular order, but they are a higher priority than the ones in the other room. There's also these 2 books here called King of the Road by R.S. Belcher and The Brotherhood of the Wheel by R.S. Belcher. And I believe this is a duology. I think it's 2 books in a series. But the Wall Street Journal said it's reminiscent of Neil Gaiman's American Gods. And Felicia Day said, if you love complex fantastical worlds, this is very intriguing. But I believe the premise of this is that there's some type of underground brotherhood of people who, ride motorcycles and drive trucks who are protecting the world from dark forces. It sounded really intriguing to me. I read a review of these books in the magazine of Fantasy and Science Fiction. I can't remember the book reviewer's name there right off the top of my head, which is strange because I read his column every month when I'm looking for stuff to read. And generally, if he says something's good, it's good. And if he says, I don't remember him saying anything too bad, but his book recommendations are generally pretty excellent. So I've been meaning to read these for a while, and I'm looking forward to getting into them. These were published by Tor. I don't think they're going to be difficult reads, though. I think these are going to be some of those books that, and I could be wrong about that go down like ice cream. So that's number 3 and 4 on my list of 18 or so fantasy books that I'm going to read next. I've also got this series that I've been meaning to read for a while by Joe Abercrombie. And I don't remember. I think these are just called the Blade Itself series. But I believe that's the first book in this trilogy. I'm counting this as 3 books, so this is number 4, 5, 6, and 7. But I've got The Blade Itself. I've got Before They Are Hanged. And I've got Last Argument of Kings. And I believe these are more sword and sorcery than high fantasy. Well, I haven't read them yet and don't know for sure, but I believe that's what I read about them. They look like they're going to be a lot of fun. They also look like they're going to take a little bit of time to get through. But that's okay. I'm no stranger to that. I mean, at least I'm not trying to read Proust, right? So, also, now that I've gotten a little older and gotten ill, okay, so that was 4, 5, 6, 7. This is number 8. This is The Hobbit. And I like this edition. It's a hardcover edition with like the little gold edges at the top and the bottom. But I've been rereading books from my childhood. The Hobbit was absolutely amazing. This is a British edition. The price is in pounds. So that's really cool that I've got this beautiful British edition of The Hobbit. I don't know when this one was published. First published in Great Britain in 1937. This one looks like the 1995 edition. But heck, even if it's a 1995 edition, that makes this book 30 years old. This is in pristine condition too. I bought this at an estate sale. But I'm looking forward to digging in and reading this one again. This counts as one book, so that's number 8. Number 9 is The Once and Future King by T.H. White, another book that was instrumental in my childhood. It's about King Arthur, and I think it's going to be very good. That's number 9. Number 10 is The Lord of the Rings, which is 3 volumes, but according to Tolkien himself, it's one novel. And I have 2 of them sitting on my desk. The other one's sitting across the room, so I'm not going to go get it. But this is the 2 Towers. And this is The Return of the King. And I've been meaning to reread these for at least the last 10 years, and I don't know why I haven't. There's a little, I think a rat or something might have chewed on that. It's too bad that is damaged there. The other 2 are pretty much in pristine condition now. So if that's 2, 4, 7, 8, 9, 10. Lord of the Rings is number 10. So what's number 11 and 12? Number 11 and 12 are these 2 Elric books from Michael Moorcock. And this is one where you could get funny about the way you number them too, because this is the Elric Saga Volume 1, Elric of Melniboné, or Melniboné, or Melniboné, however you pronounce it. We always pronounced it Melnibone when I was growing up, or Melniboné, but I guess it's Melniboné. But we didn't know that. We were just kids and teenagers and bought them. But that collects, I believe, 3 of the shorter novels, the paperback DAW editions that we read when I was growing up. And then, of course, there's the Elric Saga Volume 2, Stormbringer. So that's 11 and 12, in the way I'm counting them anyway. But there's a 3rd book in this series that I don't have yet, but I've been meaning to order it. When I got these 2, it wasn't out yet, but it's out now, and I just haven't gotten around to ordering it. So I got to take care of that. But I'm not counting that 3rd book as part of this list because I don't even have a copy of it yet. That wouldn't make much sense, would it? Okay, so what was that? That was a number 11 and number 12. This is number 13. This is Little Big by John Crowley, which I started and didn't finish. That had way more to do with me than it did with the book. The book is lovely and charming, and I can't wait to get back into it. It is dense. It doesn't look like a particularly thick book, but look how small that print is. And you know, it's at least 500 pages. So this one's going to be a little bit of not a chore, but it's going to be a quest, that's for sure. So that is number 13. All right, so here's number 14, 15, and 16. The Titus, or the Gormenghast novels by Mervyn Peake, which I've already heard about. I've always heard about Titus Grown, Titus Alone, and Gormenghast. And as far as I know, the whole series takes place in that castle. I could be mistaken about that. I don't know too much about it, but I know that it's considered a fantasy classic, and I know enough about it to know I want to read it. So, but, you know, I've never read anywhere that Mervyn Peake considered this one book that he had to break into 3 parts just so it'd fit inside of the book covers like the Lord of the Rings did. So anyway, that is numbers 14, 15, and 16 of my 18 next fantasy books. Okay, and here, so that was number 17, 18, and 19 right here. So I've got the Philip Pullman, His Dark Materials series, which I've meant to read since I saw the movie, which I loved. I have not finished the HBO series yet, although I've watched a little of it. But anyway, this consists of The Golden Compass, The Subtle Knife, and The Amber Spyglass. And it's a lovely little box set. It was really cheap. So there's 19, okay? And then number 20 is a book that I started this morning for Shorty September, and it is on my Kindle. So it's going to take me just a second to pull up this cover, but it's going to be worth it because the cover's lovely. It's A Wizard of Earthsea by Ursula Le Guin, which I've meant to read for a long, long time and never got around to, but I'm 3 chapters in, and I'm absolutely in love with it. Anyway, I wanted to show off this cover because I thought the cover was just really nice. So, yeah, it's about a wizard named Sparrowhawk and him getting training at the Wizard College. But this was published long before Harry Potter. And anyway, it's dynamite, man. It's really good so far. So I would imagine a lot of and I guess it's book 1 in a series called the Earthsea series, but it's really, really good. And I would imagine most fantasy fans who are watching this video already know about it. So anyway, that's the next 20 fantasy books that I'm going to read. I suppose I could have figured out a way to turn that into a list of 18, but let's call it 18-ish, or just call it 20, whatever you want to do. Anyway, I love reading fantasy. I read a lot more fantasy when I was younger, and now that I'm getting older, I'm returning to a lot of the genres and the books that I enjoyed when I was younger. But at any rate, thanks for the idea for the video, Michael and Steve. And I will be back soon with another video. And until then, stay hydrated. It's still hot here, but we actually have a real cool front coming in Texas, the first one in quite a while. And I think next week in the forecast, there's one day the high is going to be 79 degrees. For an old fat man like me who doesn't like the heat, that's really nice. I'll see you next time.